Hey, what's up guys? I thought I would do a little primer slash overview for closers. Obviously there's not really a whole lot of English information for this game. There's Closers HQ and the wiki that they have, and they're a pretty good source of information, but obviously it's not their job, so it can be hard to find like actual concrete guides. I thought I would go over some of the mechanics, some of the systems. Obviously this game is going to be compared to DFO the most, being an action MMO. It's fast-paced. It has a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of things that are different as well. Now, from what I understand, Elsword is one of the few action MMOs that I've never really played extensively. I've played that for maybe an hour or two tops, and it just wasn't for me. But apparently this is made by a lot of former Elsword staff, and I guess that's what made people excited about this. I guess at the start, when they first announced it, this game went through a lot of really difficult, launch issues, and they were different from a lot of the stuff that you would come to expect. It was mostly optimization issues, especially. The game was, taking too much resources and wasn't really performing optimally for, something that obviously needs to be running pretty well, considering how really fast-paced and precise the combat is. The grind was really bad too. It's pretty crazy. When I came back to this game after I got my computer fixed, the leveling curve is so much better than it was before, and it feels more natural. Very similar to the way it was in old school Nexon DFO, back when they had the level 40 cap, and getting the level 40 with that grind was a huge accomplishment and test of patience. The game's in a much better state now. One of the cool things about this game that I should talk about more than anything else is the move/skill system is very unique. Basically, when you level up a skill or a move in this game, you don't just get raw stat increases. You actually get bonuses. The first one is at level 3, level 6, and level 9 respectively. Level 3 gives you an extension. It's very similar to how it works in modern Tales games. Sometimes you get your move up to a certain usage rate, and you get an extra follow-up or something. In some cases it'll be an extra hit, some cases it'll be a follow-up. Some of Jay's moves, he'll have a buff at the end if you push the move key again. Level 6 is the juiciest one for stylish players. You get an aerial version. Pretty much every move has an aerial version. So if you want to actually optimize your juggling and stuff like that, you're going to want to get everything to level 6. After that, it's kind of up to your personal preference. Moves that you like a lot or that you rely on a lot, then you're going to want to level it up more to get access to the other skill cubes. For instance, this move right here, it's a really good gap closer. You can draw enemies towards you and continue the combo. However, it does shit for damage, so I have it at level 6 so that I can use it in the air, and it actually optimizes my juggle a lot, but I haven't really bothered to put any more points into it since it's not really worth it. The controller support is pretty cool. This game didn't have controller support when it came out, which I found really odd. DFO was the same way. That game didn't have controller support for the longest time, and they just added it a couple months ago. It is pretty nice. I am using a PS4 controller, so I have it set up through DS4 Windows. I clicked a couple buttons and it pretty much automatically calibrated itself. It actually comes in handy because this game is different from DFO, where in DFO, most moves that you use don't really have follow-ups. But in this game, every move has a follow-up, and most of the follow-ups are actually really, they're actually worth having. They're worth dumping the skill points. So I played this with X-Patter when it first came out, and it made it pretty awkward. I had a lot of the moves on the right analog stick, which made getting the follow-ups out really difficult. The way that it works is basically you have your L1 and L2 buttons, and you hold them down, and they correspond to a different skill or move on your hotkey bar. Which is another thing that's kind of weird about this game. You get more moves than you have space for. These are your actual moves right here. These are the ones that you start with. These are the ones that you get when you're agent, and then these are the ones you get when you become an official agent. The class system is very similar to DFO without the subclasses. There are no subclasses in this game. You know, your Jay or your Seiha or your Yuri or your Tane or your Nada and etc. They're all going to be exactly the same as everybody else. It's just the whatever build you have and the gear that you have is what makes a really core difference. So I have most of the Second Awakening stuff in here. The promotion pretty much works. It's very similar to DFO. A lot of things in this game are similar to DFO. I guess the cliff notes would be that this is more of a updated DFO, so to speak. It has a lot of things in common with it, a lot of things that I like that are done a lot better than DFO. But once you promote, you get access to 4 different moves. And the grind to do the official agent used to be really crazy. I just did it a couple days ago in like an hour. They've gone through great lengths to really improve the experience curve and stuff like that. One thing that's annoying about this game is the inventory system. You used to have to pay real money for these, which I didn't exactly mind too much. I mean, I am used to doing that in DFO and PSO2 and stuff like that. But the issue is you're very limited to how much that you have. You only get, you know, 5 rows. You get a total of like 35 item slots. The game gives you a lot of items, like these package items here that give you extra stuff. You get so much stuff and you don't really have an option to carry it all. It is definitely my biggest complaint with this game. Like, you see all this stuff that I have, there's just too many trash items in this game. I think that they've improved a lot of the other aspects of this game a lot, but the storage system and the inventory management I find to be really annoying. You spend a lot of time managing all these trash items that you don't want. There's just too many of them. Like, there's all these crafting items and stuff, and they have the problem that you know, most games with trash loot do. You know, they do have a purpose, but you don't know when you're going to use them, so you're at a disadvantage if you throw them away, but if you keep them, then you're not going to have room for anything else. This is definitely the aspect of the game that they need to improve the most. I think it's kind of odd that they have it free to play, but they don't let you be a whale and buy a ton of storage. That's one of the best things about DFO. You know, if you want to buy 200 inventory or storage slots for, you know, all 30 of your characters, you can. Obviously most people won't do that, but having the option is nice. Here, you know, you get your little extra space that you can get with in-game money, and that's pretty much it. You have your storage as well. This is your shared storage. It works very similar to the account vault in DFO, but it's really not that much space either. You can store your money in here. It's called credits in this game. But that's pretty much all that you have. It's definitely one of the biggest annoyances to playing this game is how few spaces that you have. I hope that they will streamline this at some point. I mean, I think that they're sitting on a lot of money by not letting you upgrade your inventory like this. I really don't understand what the purpose is of you know, giving you so much trash items and not really giving you any room to store them. You can upgrade it with real money, but I'm kind of like not that hardcore into this game right now. I have, you know, DFO is getting a new patch in a couple weeks. But I just wanted to do this. You've seen me play the game a whole lot. I'm not going to go through a map right now. You can go ahead and watch the rest of my footage. But the classes are very unique. The combat is very fast-paced. It plays a lot like DFO would, you know, if it was a game that was designed in like 2014 or 2015 instead of 2005. You can tell that they took a lot of influence from a lot of the other action MMOs out there, like Elsword, Kritika, DFO especially. It's just, you know, it's more faster paced. It's streamlined in a lot of ways. The quests are pretty easy to go through. There isn't really a whole lot of grinding anymore. The controller support is really great. I really hope that this game will get localized. I'm sure people are going to ask that a lot in the comments. I haven't really heard anything about a localization. It's just they pretty much they have like an English version of their site on their Natick developer page, but I don't think it's been updated in a while. There is a Japanese version, which is actually the first version to have controller support. I imagine they took the code from the Japanese version and put it into the Korean version, which is nice. but they haven't really said anything about a localization. I would not recommend paying for an account for this like I did, simply because you're going to be soloing. I have some issues with performance in this game. The particle effects are pretty annoying because you can't turn them off, and they seem to be the biggest cause of performance issues. If you want to look at the options, obviously it's in Korean, so you're not going to be able to get much sense out of it. It's pretty bare bones. This right here is your, just generic slider. I've put this down all the way and I've still got performance issues. I don't know if it's my CPU or not. My CPU is not the best for games, so I don't know if that's what it is, but people have said the same thing with much better computers than mine. I think the optimization needs to get a little better. If nothing else, they need to allow you to turn off the particle effects. It's very similar to the stuff that's in the PC version of DMC4 Special Edition. They added the motion blur and the bloom and all that extra crap, and you can't turn it off. And that's the biggest culprit of performance issues in that game. And I think this game is pretty much the same way. I heard you can disable shadows and get like a huge performance boost, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, how often are you looking at the shadows in a fast-paced beat 'em up? Probably never. I hope that they'll improve the optimization. That's pretty much one of my biggest issues with this game, aside from just the storage stuff. They've really gone to great lengths to actually improve the experience overall and make it better and not such a chore to go through. But the characters are all really unique, which is fun. I mean, Jay is pretty much the quintessential beat-em-up character. He's just kind of updated and modernized. He has a really cool, robust, really rounded out moveset. He's got grabs, really great crowd control, single target damage. The other characters are like that too. Some of them are better in the air, some of them are better at crowd control and stuff like that. One thing that's really cool about this game that you don't really hear people talk about much, I guess I'll mention it before I go, is your normal attacks are actually really useful. If you play DFO, aside from some classes like the Rogue, which get, buffs and stuff like that if you cancel from your normal attacks into a special move, you actually get resources back for using your normal attack string, which is very similar to how it works in Tales. You do like a normal attack string in a Tales game, and you get a couple points of TP back. It's pretty cool. It actually encourages optimizing combos and using your normal attacks instead of just using your moves all the time. It's definitely one of the features I really like about this game. The other thing that's annoying about this game is that the quest system is pretty obnoxious. You spend a lot of time loading, which is really odd considering this takes place in present-day South Korea, and the characters have smartphones and stuff like that, but you have to go back to town and skip through a bunch of text to get your next quest. The flow of the game definitely needs some work. If you don't like a lot of downtime, you're going to be spending a lot of time waiting for it to load. Even if you have a pretty fast computer, it can take quite a while to go back and forth between maps. They definitely need to improve that part of the flow of the game, but the rest of the flow has gotten a lot better. The grind to get your official agent quest can be done in about an hour, give or take, depending on what gear you have and everything. The experience curve's gotten a lot better. You also get nice little companionship bonuses or friendship bonuses for leveling up characters, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like the Explorer bonus in DFO. It's just you get raw stats, and they're different stats for every character, so you're encouraged to play every single character. The fatigue system is kind of odd. Basically, you see I have 200 stamina here because they gave me some event item that gave me 30 extra stamina. Basically, every dungeon that you enter, aside from the beginning ones where they lower the stamina so that you can get the feel of the game a little more before you have to wait for a day, everything will take 10 stamina, and by default you have 170 stamina, so that means you have 17 dungeons that you can run every day. And there's also an account stamina, which means you get, basically you can fill out or run through 2 full fatigue bars per day, and it means you can really only focus on 2 characters fully, or you can do a couple dungeons on all of your alts. It is pretty annoying. However, the Japanese version, I hear that they took that out because they don't have the strict, anti-play the game all day laws that South Korea has. So I imagine if it gets localized, they'll either, increase the stamina amount entirely, or they'll remove it, or they'll remove it. I don't know what they're gonna do. They could remove it. They could give you more. As it stands now, you can play a character for about an hour. The dungeons really aren't that long. They're anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long, depending on your gear and how efficient you are. So you can play this game for about I'd say 2-3 hours tops, which is not bad. I think the game's definitely more tailored for, busy lifestyles or people who, don't have the patience or the focus to just play a single game all day. But you can be done with this game in like 2 hours, which is different from DFO. If you have like 12 volts in that game, you can play it all day. I've done that in the past when I've been bored or low on money. This is definitely not the kind of game for that, at least not on the Korean version. It's pretty easy to just go through your fatigue and be done. There are some things you can do, like this emergency mission thing here, which apparently doesn't take any fatigue. There are things you can do that don't take fatigue. There's also PvP that was just added into the game as well. The game's gotten a lot better. However, I feel like the people that were asking for it to be localized, they didn't really know what they were asking for. This game was in such a rough spot when it came out, and as much as I love the combat, it was really hard to dedicate myself to it. But so many aspects of the game have gotten better. It's just the flow of the quests. You need to be able to complete the quest from inside the dungeon, and the storage system and all the trash items definitely need to be worked on a little bit. The combat's rock solid. If you want to see more of the combat, you can go ahead and check out the week's worth of videos that I put up. I wanted to put this up before that long stretch of videos because I know I'm going to be getting questions. You can go ahead and check out Closers HQ. They were the most comprehensive English depository for information on this game. But I just wanted to explain some of the mechanics and stuff like that. If you want to see gameplay, you can check out the other videos. Thanks for watching. Peace.